Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sips for Change. As always, we're your host, Martin and Tammy, here to bring you exciting conversations about making events more planet and people conscious.
Today, we're diving into how incorporating multilingual event communications and multicultural partners into your event strategy can take your events to a whole new level.
Oui, oui. We're talking about going beyond the hola, ni hao, and demonstrating genuine connection, cultural respect, and intentional strategy.
Exactly. And not to brag, but between the two of us, we speak a combined total of 6 languages.
You know what that means, Tammy? We can say, did you sign that contract in 6 ways?
That's a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Now, we know what you're thinking. Isn't English the universal language? Don't most event vendors or destinations have people who speak English? Do we really need to worry about this?
Sure, English may be the default language at many global events, but here's the thing. Just because people can operate in English doesn't mean they'll be comfortable or engaged because of it.
Exactly. When you offer communication options to someone in their primary or preferred language, you're not just providing information, you're providing an inclusive environment and also demonstrating respect. You're telling them, I see you and I want you to feel welcomed and included.
And this is not just how we feel because English isn't our first language. Studies actually show that people are 72% more likely to engage with content in their native language. That includes emails, signage, and apps, and everything else.
So that means communicating in just English at an event with multilingual participants is not enough. If you want people to feel engaged, included, and return year after year.
And from a business angle, this is even more important if your event is global. Sure, you could get by with operating in only English at a US or UK based regional event with only a few foreign attendees, but you could also be missing out on a lot of opportunities. Spanish is the second most spoken language in the US. That's about 41 million people. And in the UK, the most spoken language other than English is Polish, with more than 600,000 people.
Yes, think about the ROI of expanding to a much broader audience across the world. If you do it properly, you could build brand engagement, which leads to brand loyalty, and that should help you increase that bottom line.
Right. Speaking of that bottom line, you know I like data and making decisions based on data. So let's set the scene with some numbers. According to Worldly.ai, 88% of event planners say their audiences speak two or more languages, and 79% have seen a rise in non native English speaking attendees.
And get this, Interprefy found that 94% of their professionals consider AI-powered translation to reach much wider audiences, which we've definitely seen a significant increase of in webinars over the last few years post-pandemic.
That's right. Technology has advanced globalization, and socially, we need to catch up. Because language inclusion also equals accessibility plus engagement.
And once again, from a business perspective, building your international brand loyalty also builds your brand reputation, which in turn, again, should generate more long-term and consistent profit.
Additionally, being mindful of multilingual inclusivity could help your business build stronger partnerships with your regionally local vendors.
In our previous episodes on global event planning and showcasing diverse talent, which we've linked below, we talked about the power of leveraging your local partners because they really can help you curate a unique and sustainable experience for your attendees.
Now, imagine approaching the same vendors with an intentionally curated team of planners that have done their homework on the culture and can communicate with them in their preferred language. Between that group and another group that simply emailed them an RFP request in English during the vendor's regional holiday. Which group do you think the vendor is going to enjoy working with more and perhaps would be willing to offer a few more incentives to?
The reality of our industry is that it's an industry about people. It's a global industry that thrives on helping people create deep and meaningful connections, no matter if the end result is to sell a product or create relationships and friendships. The fact of the matter is that the more genuine those relationships are, the more successful they are, and in turn, the end results will be as well.
And language is the center of all it. It's the not so secret weapon because people underestimate it. Language is the root of knowledge and understanding, which means it's also at the heart of marketing and communications.
And all of that is deeply rooted in emotions as well. I can't tell you how emotional I was the moment that I was able to communicate with a caterer in Mandarin. The last time that I planned an event in Flushing, New York, which, people know that has a very large Asian population. This was for a nonprofit event a few months ago. They had a tight budget, and so they hired a local mom and pop restaurant to cater their meals for the conference. And they did so because most of those, local mom and pop shops were the cheapest in the area, which again, I love because we're supporting local businesses. However, the problem with that is the owners were not fluent in English and they did not really speak English. And so the nonprofit team was struggling to communicate with the restaurant about their catering orders. So when I was able to help bridge that gap, it was so amazing. It was the first time I've been able to use my event planning skills outside of the English context. And it was almost felt like my two identities became one. On one hand, my one identity as the fluent speaking, English speaking first generation event planner in the US, and the other, which was the identity of a fluent Mandarin speaking Taiwanese person with a rich cultural history based in Taiwan. I really felt connected with that restaurant owner because we were talking about the meals that they were going to prepare as part of the catering menu. And we chatted about the ingredients that they were going to use. And just talking with her about the food brought back so many childhood memories of
Mm.
things that I ate and things my mom would cook. And it was such an emotional connection. So if you ask me if you want to find ways to if I want to find ways to include Mandarin into my job, I would totally say yes. I would love to do it more.
Oh, I love that, Tammy. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Of course. It's actually been on my mind since we've put this episode together. But Martine, you definitely have way more international event planning experience I do. You speak more languages than I do. So I want to know if you felt something similar when you get to work with vendors in your other languages.
Definitely, like other languages I speak help me smooth over vendor issues, chat with international clients, and really build strong relationships and sometimes friendships. So, for example, I worked on an event in France where our on-site coordinator spoke French, of course, being in France, but he was Spanish. So being able to communicate with him in Spanish helped me build like an extra layer of trust and really get a successful event.
That's amazing. And what's what makes language so powerful. It ignites emotions because it brings forth nostalgic memories and comfort and connection. So why wouldn't you want to add this to your event planning arsenal?
Absolutely. Now, Tammy, let's dive into the tips on how they can leverage this tool.
So starting with tip number one, do a language audit early. You can't plan a multilingual communication plan for your attendees if you don't know what language they prefer. So when you build your registration forms, ask about their preferred languages. You might find that your small event is actually hosting guests from 4 or 5 different linguistic backgrounds.
Right, and also do a culture audit. Like we said, language is deeply rooted in culture, so it's only one piece of the pie. You can also add a culture-based question into your registration form. This will help you understand what cultures are attending and if they are etiquette differences, time perceptions, dietary considerations. When working on an event in Vietnam, you don't talk and act as in Argentina, for example. Being able to adapt to the culture ensures you don't offend anyone and show them respect, which again leads to trust.
As an example, in Chinese culture, it's considered bad luck to put the number 4 on table for table numbers because the pronunciation of the word sounds like the word death. You might even see this number omitted completely on elevators in some parts of Chinese speaking countries. So I'd consider avoiding if and when assigning tables at Chinese centric events.
That's really interesting, Tammy. Another great example, for instance, is in French culture this time. Lunch isn't just a quick pit stop, it's practically a sacred ritual. We like to sit down, take our time, and actually enjoy the food. Yes, even on weekdays. So if you're planning an event for French participants, don't expect ham and cheese sandwiches wolfed down in 30 minutes to cut it. That's not lunch. That's a culinary insult. Give lunch the respect it deserves. Small gestures, big impact.
And I like how you didn't mention wine. I'm sure we'll be sipping some wine during a French lunch.
True.
So you can have a checkbox that lists common languages that you prefer to support or able to support, such as, listing Spanish, Mandarin, French, Hindi, whatever suits your audience in the region that you're planning. Or if you're feeling up to the challenge and you want to add an other field or even make this an open text field and see what you get, you know, embrace the challenge. Now, some tools that can help you bring this to life. Use Google Forms or platforms like Eventbrite because they support custom fields. You can offer multilingual versions of event communications and websites and event apps. You can use graphics or icons to visually guide the experience for non-native speakers. You can also host 20-minute cultural onboardings for your team. You can have share documents that list do's and don'ts on a one pager and offer refreshers in a group chat when on site. And lastly, you can create a mini glossary of common phrases for staff to use and avoid.
Thank you, Tammy, for sharing. Now let's talk about the boots on the ground and what other things can help tie the bow on this experience. Incorporate bilingual or multilingual staff. They are invaluable. Greeters, help desk agents, even bar staff. When someone can help you in your own language, it sets a warm, welcoming tone. How many times I saw like a big, pretty smile when I could engage with someone in their native language?
Yes, you know what place I really noticed that this is done really well? Din Tai Fung in Taiwan. For those of you who don't know them, they're a Taiwanese restaurant known for their soup dumplings. They have various
Mm.
locations across the US and they originated in Taiwan. I went to one of their restaurants in Taiwan. The three hosts at the host stand combined spoke Korean, English, Japanese, Mandarin, and Taiwanese. They greeted their guests in their preferred language, and when they announced the table queue numbers over the speaker, they announced it in both Mandarin and the language in which the customers spoke them in.
That's so awesome. I wonder if their US locations do the same.
They just opened one in Manhattan not too long ago, so when I go, I will confirm for you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll wait for you. And maybe you could take me there too.
Yes.
Um, Meanwhile, this is a great segue to not forget to consider multilingual MCs or hosts as part of that staff roster.
I have another story about this when it was done well. Um, I once attended a Haitian American wedding. The bride was Haitian and the groom was American. They had an MC who can speak Creole and English. And not only did he switch between the languages seamlessly, he also explained some of the cultural traditions that were being highlighted at the wedding. It was such a wonderful
Mm.
experience for me to not only celebrate the bride and groom, but also to learn something about their culture and be able to feel included in that experience.
That's so amazing. And it sounds like they were super intentional about that MC, right?
Yeah.
But we know that finding that person or resource may be very difficult sometimes. So, what you could also do is doing a little bit of homework and offering just a few phrases like welcoming remarks in the local language that can actually transform how guests feel about your brand. And here are some ideas for bringing it to life. Add a language spoken field to your staff registration form. Hand out I speak badges to bilingual team members to wear. It makes them approachable. And we see that often in the airline industry, for example. If you cannot find a multilingual MC, you can do any of the following: pre record short welcome videos in different languages to play on screen, two, offer translation devices, and then three, display live on screen translation in multiple languages.
Leveraging technology is great. So thanks for that, Martine. It's also a good segue to our next part. Yes, AI translation is booming. Platforms like Wordly, Interprefy, and Zoom are all offering real-time captions in a dozen of languages, and it's indeed amazing.
However, I would say machines don't understand context, at least yet. I once saw like a Spanish AI translation that turned rehearsal dinner into something like training banquet.
Training banquet. Interesting. I wonder what that means. Um, I definitely see that happen a lot on Netflix when I watch Chinese TV shows with English captions, and it really irks me. So, to help you avoid those moments with your guests, we recommend this combo: using AI to scale and humans to polish. Use softwares
Mm.
for real-time captions or basic translations, but always have someone fluent to review them, whether it's your scripts, signage, any type of like key messaging.
Right. So we'll let you in on a secret. That's what Tammy and I do for all the captions you see in our channel. Shh.
Martine, don't give away our secrets. I'm only kidding. At least you know we're leading by example.
Here's another tip we also use in our channel. If you're presenting slides, leave more white space in the area where the captions would go. Hence, why our channel design has this white space at the bottom of the screen. Translations vary in length depending on the language, so you want the design to flex for multiple languages.
And some examples on how to bring this to life. One, use multilingual chatbots for basic event questions and allow them to route them to a multilingual person if the attendee needs more support. Two, test your tools during live on-site simulations and rehearsals so there are no surprises. Three, ask a fluent colleague to review your translations of content, both audio and visual. Four, make a quick cheat sheet of key phrases for MCs and staff, such as welcome, this way, restroom, or food allergy. Last but not least, offer both AI translation captions as well as a manual translation device or even a sign language interpreter for those who are hearing impaired and read in another language.
Hmm.
And here, our last and final tip: coordinate visual communications in various languages. Your guests shouldn't feel like they need Google Translate to find the restroom, and there's no need to redesign everything. Just make sure the essentials are covered.
And this might be the rare occasion that Tammy would be okay with printed materials. Provide bilingual or multilingual signage for wayfinding, menus, addendas, and emergency procedures. Those are the four biggies. Use icons too. They're universally helpful.
I still think all of those things can be digital forms, but in case of emergency, I am sure printed formats will be more convenient. So perhaps have combination of both. You could even consider sustainable printing.
Absolutely, Tammy. Because we do want to be mindful about not generating too much excess waste in efforts to be more inclusive.
And some examples on how to bring this to life. One, use Canva templates. They also have built-in AI now. Two, remember tip number three, leverage AI and a colleague to duplicate your designs for each language. Three, QR codes are gold. One sign, one QR code, multiple language versions hosted online. And lastly, use visuals, icons for food restrictions and directional arrows and etc.
Right. And if you're printing booklets, consider a flipbook format, one side in English, the other in the alternate language. Elegant and easy to navigate.
Very good tip, Marty. Back to my Din Tai Fung experience, I really like that even in Taiwan, their menu had Chinese and English on it because even though I speak it fluently, I can't read it. So it was great for me to be able to read the menu in English. I think it was why I felt so comfortable in Taiwan. I could speak to the people in Mandarin, and most of their directional signage, like in public transportation areas, all had English on it.
I love that. It's so great to hear about places that are mindful enough to build those things into their infrastructure.
Absolutely. It was the same in Japan too. All of the public transportation areas, like the bullet train, had English and Japanese on it. Even as tourists, it made me feel easier to navigate and feel welcomed. Because
Mm,
here's the truth, multilingual planning isn't just about words, it's absolutely a mindset.
exactly. It's about designing events where people from all backgrounds can be able to engage with the event and feel welcome, comfortable, and authentic while doing it.
Whether you're planning a 50-person wedding or a 5,000 attendee conference, remember, language is hospitality. So, yes, it
Mm.
might take a few extra steps, but making your event multilingual isn't about complexity, it's about connection.
And connection is what people remember, not the lights or the swag bags, but how they were treated. My husband always teases me because I always say to him when we go to a restaurant, like if the food was incredible, but if I was treated poorly, I will never come back. And he doesn't really understand why.
I get it. It's okay. I am with you there, Martins. Service matters, and you
Mm.
don't have to do everything at once. Pick one language to support to start with, or start with welcome signs, or maybe the menu. Baby steps count.
Right. Also build a diverse team. Hire people who speak more than one language or partner with freelancers who do. It's an investment that always pays off.
And when in doubt, bring snacks. Learn how to say thank you in every language.
Food and gratitude. Love that, Tammy. The universal languages. If you want your event to feel global, warm, and unforgettable, speak to people in their language. Literally.
And figuratively. Thanks for joining us today. Now, go out there, plan something unforgettable and multilingual. If you love this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss out an episode of our sustainable deep dives.
Thanks for sipping with us, and we'll see you next time. Until then, keep making conscious choices, one sip at a time. Bye.
Bye.